welcome back, everyone. We have President Barbara Bowen has joined us, and she was on the agenda to talk about the Medicare Advantage update. So I think we'll commence at that place on our agenda. Barbara.
Great, thank you. Oops, there we go. Frozen for a moment, great. Thank you, Sharon, and thank you, colleagues. Thank you, everyone who put this event together. And it's really great to be here. I wish I could say it's really great to see you, but I can't see you because we're in this format, which means that we don't get the importance and the pleasure of seeing each other across the room. But I'm really happy to be with you today and have the chance to talk. I'm going to be short, and if there's even 5 minutes for questions, we'll see what Sharon says or how she wants to handle them. First of all, thanks for coming to this important meeting, and welcome back to people who've come before. I myself, having heard it a few times, always feel like it takes me a few times to take it all in. And I also just want to remind people that one of the key things the labor movement has always fought for is your time out of work. We think of labor unions as fighting for the conditions in work, but a key fight for labor, think about the fight for the weekend, has always been to protect our time out of work. And a key moment in that was the moment that pensions were made more widespread, and that the idea that one had a right to a dignified retirement was part of the concept of what rights for workers should be. That's a union fight, and we've won that. And everyone who's worked at CUNY, especially people who've survived this year at CUNY, should never feel that any of your benefits or support you get in retirement are an add-on or something extra or a luxury. You earned them. They are deferred compensation. They're part of what you earned. You earn them every day at CUNY, so savor them and think of them as something we achieved collectively. So enjoy those benefits. I just want to speak very briefly about changes that are being contemplated right now in Medicare for retirees, and just that the city of the municipal unions, all the unions in New York City with public sector employees, negotiate together on health insurance with the city of New York. Whether we're on the New York State payroll or the city payroll, senior college or community college, we're all on the city health plan. And the unions in the fiscal crisis in 1975 got together to negotiate together to have more power. Now, as the costs, as we know, as our country has still failed to implement universal medical coverage, and as we're still struggling in New York with the idea of the New York Health Act, which would provide broad coverage, we are facing tremendous increases in the cost of healthcare, especially profiteering by the drug companies and very high charges from some of the hospitals. One of the ways that the municipal unions together are working, and in some cases with the city, is to bring those costs down, to negotiate collectively with the hospitals, but also to try to restructure Medicare with a group plan that generates a subsidy from Medicare centrally, from the central federal government Medicare system. I know it's kind of complicated, but what the city and the unions are talking about now in negotiations is a group plan that is based on the idea of Medicare Advantage. I know a lot of us, when we hear about Medicare Advantage, we feel that our only knowledge of it is the individual plans. The hope is with the city that the power of a group plan will enable us to negotiate a much, much better deal than the deal that one would typically get through an individual plan. The city has put out a request for proposals. Things are being considered, and this would be a mandatory change. It's not, if it goes through, it won't be an optional change, but the city and the unions are pushing, and the parameters of the request for proposals were, first of all, that everyone be able to continue every doctor and hospital access they have currently on Medicare. That's the key point. And that's the point that is hardest to make 100% sure that we have in place. I'm a member of the steering committee of this municipal labor group, and I have been relentlessly pushing to get every guarantee we can for continuity for you in Medicare Advantage and additional benefits. And also we have Pat Smith coming up next from the Welfare Fund. The executive director of the Welfare Fund, Donna Costa, is an incredibly shrewd healthcare negotiator, and she is on the negotiating team. So we are being strongly represented. And I have been consistently raising questions specifically about hospitals that we need to have our members have access to. The last meeting of the group, it was announced that my pressure on making sure that access to Memorial Sloan Kettering and hospitals for special surgery had led to negotiations to make sure that access was guaranteed. So I know we have a lot of questions, and I think the framework that we're working in with for-profit healthcare, no universal coverage, and the assumption of austerity for the city is the deepest problem. But the key advantage that the city and the unions are trying to preserve is an option for healthcare coverage that does not involve payment of a monthly premium. Almost every other municipality, state, and certainly private employer in the country requires a monthly, I hate that word premium because it means prize. This is not a prize, it's a payment, monthly payment for your health insurance. That is also true for many people when they move into a Medicare Advantage plan. There will be no monthly payment for health coverage in Medicare Advantage. And if the city and the union switch to that, it helps to protect the existing benefits for prescription drugs, optical, dental, and our other welfare fund benefits. So it's a complicated issue that I tried to compress very fast. The biggest political framework is a troubling one. It's a very troubling one, a for-profit healthcare and a sort of zero-sum assumption. We are challenging that assumption and framework, but at the same time, trying to move quickly to protect the benefits we have and enlarge those benefits and use all the power of the unions together to try to negotiate the best deal we can. So I think I'll stop there, and it's only 2 or 3 minutes left, so maybe I need to stop there, but it's an ongoing task. I am looking forward to helping my successor as PSC president, James Davis. I think you will love James. Some of you know him. He'll do a wonderful job. And I'm hoping to continue to help him and support him with the Municipal Labor Committee as this transition is made, so that you have every kind of continuity you can. And also we have Donna Costa, who is a big part of that continuity. So I don't mean to make it sound simple, nor do I mean to make it sound terrifying. It's something we are fighting to do in the best possible way for our retirees, for all retirees, and to preserve and expand your healthcare access and benefits. But it is an ongoing issue, and one that's going to take vigilance and is going to take all of our involvement from the PSC and from the Welfare Fund. So thanks for listening. And I don't know, Sharon, if you want to take a question or two, or you want to ask me something, whatever you'd like.
There are several questions in the Q&A list. One of them is, if this change happens, will it be permanent, or will it be something that will be renegotiated at periods? Great question.
They're looking at a contract that has a base period of 5 years and could be extended as far as 10. And every time a contract is renegotiated, new things can come in, just as they do in our PSC contract. And one of the questions I have raised consistently is how we use our power to make sure that, let's say we get a very good contract for the first 5 years, that there isn't any diminution of those terms for us after 5 years. That's one of the key issues that we have raised from the PSC. And also we would always be looking for improvements and expansion. But yes, the idea is not that this would be a temporary shift, but that it would be a shift. About 40% of people in retirement medicine are on Medicare Advantage rather than straight Medicare. And there would be, the idea is, yeah, to make that move. But great question, thanks.
And what's the timeline for the MLC making a decision?
Great question again. The time pressure is that the fund, the joint city and union health fund, which is called the Stabilization Fund, that provides a lot of the money to the welfare funds across the city to support the benefits like prescription drugs and optical and dental. That fund, because of complicated relations between HIP and GHI costs, is dropping in money. And the commitment, I should have said this earlier, the commitment of the city is that any savings that is achieved by moving to Medicare Advantage will be plowed into that fund to support our other benefits. So that's the time pressure. And it was moving faster. PSC delegates passed a resolution in our delegate assembly calling for a moratorium on negotiations, and I did bring that to the MLC. I won't say there's a moratorium, but there was a slowdown. And I expect, though, that there may be a vote in the fall and maybe conclusion of a contract by the end of this calendar year. And then there would be a transition period.
Would this change, if it happens, be applied to previous retirees, people who are already retired, and then upcoming retirees also?
Yes, it would. It would. Yes, it would. And, you know, we are fighting very hard. First of all, two things. First of all, that the program itself that is put in place is the most advantageous possible. And second, that any transition that occurs would be as smooth as possible. And I just feel that the key issue, I mean, this is the key issue retirees have raised, is access, continued access to your doctor. That's what everybody asks, and that's the key issue. You do not want to have, especially, you know, with serious medical conditions or any condition. I mean, with people who've seen a cardiologist for 20 years, they don't want to go to that cardiologist and be told that on Medicare Advantage, you can't see that cardiologist. That's what we're struggling to avoid. And, you know, I think we should all be aware that even the federal government tries to incentivize cities, localities, and employers to move to Medicare Advantage, which is a private sector administration of the benefit. I mean, it's a weird thing, but the federal government incentivizes with subsidies employers and cities and states to move to a private sector administration of Medicare Advantage, and a lot of other states have.
And you mentioned states. Another question that's coming up is the fact that Medicare Advantage plans are regional, so they vary depending upon what location you're in. Is there consideration being given to that, and how people who decide to relocate might be affected differently?
Yes, I mean, we're aiming for, I wouldn't say we, because I'm not right on the negotiating team, but the team is, and the unions certainly have a rock solid commitment to having a plan that is portable, that goes with you, or that, you know, if you are out of state, if you've moved to Florida or North Carolina or California, that you will have access to any doctor who accepts Medicare currently, any doctor or hospital. That's what we're working toward. And I think that's the bottom line, right? That's the bottom line. The payments to the doctors, the reimbursements will be the same as under Medicare. The issue is getting Medicare Advantage to move quickly and getting all the doctors and hospitals to recognize that this is a plan they should take. So yes, there's a lot of effort being put into coverage of a network, but I just keep emphasizing that, you know, my eyes are on the prize of making sure that our members and all the working people of the city and their dependents have access to their current Medicare doctors. Any doctor who accepts Medicare, which I think is 99.4% of doctors in the country, any doctor who accepts Medicare should accept this Medicare Advantage program, and that's what we're working toward.
That's most of the questions. So thanks. So we can get on with the rest of the program. Okay. Thanks so very much. I know this is an important issue for everyone who's at the stage of life that I am, actually. So thanks very much.
Thank you, Sharon. Thanks for doing this. And it's great to be here with all of you. Thanks so much. Take care.
Thanks, Barbara.
Thank you.
So I think, Patrick, we're next for the welfare fund benefits for retirees.
Yeah, sounds good. I'm going to share my screen. So here we go. It's the leap of faith, as always. And here we are. I'm going to hold on one second. I'm going to stop the share for a second just so you can see me and just say hello. I work at the Welfare Fund along with Sandra Zaccanetta. I'm nominally the communications director, but we're a small shop. There's just 14 of us, so we all do many, many different things, but I'm happy to be speaking to you today. And now let's go straight to the presentation. And just let me say, I'm going to move through this. It's short. It's not like, it's much shorter than the previous presentation. So you can post your questions and we'll deal with them after I finish the brief PowerPoint. So here we go. So here we are, happy retirees, post-pandemic, able to travel and get out there in the world. And it's happening. It's really happening. It's sort of unbelievable to all of us, and to many of us, we're not quite there, but it is happening. We're moving into the next phase. So what is the Welfare Fund? We provide your supplemental health benefits to all the campuses. Like I said, we're a small staff. We support, it's more than 20,000 members. It's total something like 22,450 something active and retired members. We get funding through CUNY and the City of New York on a member basis, and that funding is negotiated between the PSC and CUNY. Our funding is limited, and I do just want to make the point that it is not your union dues. Your union dues go to support the union and all of its important work. Those dues do not pay for your benefits. And the pie chart here shows you what most of that money goes towards. You can see that well over half goes to prescription drugs because that is an expensive proposition in the USA. The other big chunk goes to dental, which is also expensive medical care. And then you can see the different smaller little slices of the pie covering the vision benefit, hearing aids, death benefit, disability, which we will talk about. So straight to prescription drugs. If you retire and you're under 65, you're going to maintain your CVS Caremark drug coverage, and you'll continue to use your CVS Caremark card. If you retire at 65 or over, you will enroll, along with the rest of your retirement health benefits forms, in our SilverScript Medicare Part D prescription plan. SilverScript is a part of CVS Caremark, so it is the same company. If you're currently receiving injectable or chemo drugs for cancer from PICA, if you retire under 65, that will continue until you turn 65. If you are Medicare eligible upon your retirement, then those drugs will come from the Welfare Fund SilverScript Part D drug plan. And the same goes for diabetic drugs. If you're under 65, and I apologize for the siren that's going to blare into us for a second, let's let it pass. One of the hazards of working from home. Diabetic drugs continue to be paid for by your basic health plan until you're Medicare eligible. And at that point, they'd switch over and they'd be covered by the Welfare Fund CVS plan. So when you sign up for Medicare, You're going to call Social Security. You can do it online. It's always nice to have a conversation. Someday, people will be able to go back to actually going to the Social Security office. But until then, you can call and you'll sign up for Part A and Part B. You will not sign up for a Part D drug plan. If you're anywhere around the age of 65, working or not working, you get bombarded for come-ons for Medicare Part D plans. You can ignore those mailings and emails and TV commercials because your Part D drug plan will come to you from the welfare fund. We will sign you up in our group SilverScript Medicare Part D prescription drug plan, and you will get a new drug card. And your spouse, dependent spouses on your plan, also will get their own Medicare Part D drug card. Most welfare fund benefits don't change on retirement. Dental, if you've got Guardian Plan or the Delta HMO, that continues into retirement. You have the opportunity to switch plans in even-numbered years. Davis Vision continues into retirement. Free glasses, if you choose those frames or contacts that are Davis products, free glasses every year. Hearing aid benefits, just the same, continues into retirement. How do you use your dental benefit? Most of you are familiar with this. If you're enrolled in Guardian, you call them up. All of this information, by the way, is available on the Welfare Fund website. And if you're in Delta, you call up Delta and they assign you a dentist in the Delta HMO. This you should all be familiar with. It does not change in retirement. It's the same thing you've got now. Davis Vision, same thing. If you're not familiar with this, you can call them up, you can go online. All of this information is on the Welfare Fund website. You call them up, they verify your eligibility, you make an appointment, choose frames or contacts in the Davis Vision plan, and they come to you at no copay, as many, many of you are certainly aware. How to use your hearing aid benefit. This may be one that you haven't used. I can say that the ability to hear is going to be very, very sexy as you age. Any stigma that had been associated with hearing aids is falling away because as you age, your hearing degrades. I don't care who you are. And the Hear USA benefit is a very nice one, $3,000 off the cost of your hearing aids. And that means that hearing aids at the lower end of complexity come at no copay. At the higher end, you get $3,000 off the cost. Some welfare fund benefits do end at retirement. Disability, which is employee income replacement. If you're unable to do your job, that means you get some of your income replaced. If you're not, you don't want to retire. But when you do retire, that goes away. There is a death benefit. If you die in service for your survivors, it's $5,000. But that death benefit ends at retirement. Extended medical, currently, if you have GHI, you can take advantage of the extended medical benefit and get reimbursed for some of your out-of-pocket costs related to using non-network providers. But once you are in Medicare, that extended medical benefit goes away. Dependent spouse benefits do end upon the death of the retiree. However, the welfare fund offers a survivor benefit. So say you have retired, your spouse is a dependent on your, currently your GHI supplemental, Medicare supplemental plan. that would end, that GHI Medicare supplemental plan would end at your death. But welfare fund benefits, prescription drugs, vision benefit, dental, hearing aid, those can continue at a price. It's about $1,700 a year to maintain that drug benefit and vision, dental, and hearing aid. And that is a really good deal. It's about $1,700 a year. That's much less than it would cost just to purchase a Medicare Part D plan. So there is a survivor benefit for welfare fund benefits for your dependents on your plan should you predecease them. Here's a tricky thing that gets overlooked. If you are paying for catastrophe major medical or long-term care through MetLife or term life insurance from NYSET as an employee, and you want to maintain those plans into retirement, it is not automatic. There isn't just some switch that's flipped by someone at the insurance companies. You are the switch, you are the hinge. You have to contact those providers for the catastrophe major medical plan, the welfare fund plan. You have to contact Mercer Consumer, let them know they've got your correct mailing address, current phone number, and email address. You let them know your last payroll date, and the first bill for those plans, once you go off payroll, has to be a paper invoice sent to your home. Generally, by the second billing period for those plans, you can arrange for pension deduction or deduction from your TIAA account. But the very first bill, after you go off payroll, does have to be a paper bill sent to your home. Now, I have heard that NYSET, the NYSET plans, NYSET Term Life and long-term care through NYSET, through the MetLife plan, they also NYSET also contacts those insurers when they get the information that you're retiring. Nevertheless, I think it's not a bad idea to contact those insurers, whether it is a welfare fund catastrophe major medical plan or whether it's a NYSET plan. Call them, let them know that you are retiring. They may say, in the case of NYSET benefits, yes, 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 that's all going to be taken care of, don't worry. And that's wonderful. Good to hear it. But don't make assumptions. I think it's a good idea to contact those insurers and let them know you're retiring and you do need to be billed at home. The contact numbers for these insurance plans are available on the Welfare Fund website. You can get all of that contact information there, all the phone numbers, all of the email addresses for the extra insurance plans like the catastrophe plan, like long-term care, term life from NYSET, all that information is on the Welfare Fund website. And this is what the Welfare Fund website looks like if you're not familiar with it. At least that's what it looks like now. We are in the process of looking at improving it. It's getting to be a little bit of a raggedy old, not raggedy, it's just old. And so we've got to upgrade it, but it will still look more or less like this. You are a retiree. There's always going to be a big menu bar across the top, and you'll click on that retiree button, and then you can click here and get all of the information about each of your benefits. How to contact the Welfare Fund? Right now, the quickest way is to email this address, communications, plural, at our long clunky website URL, psccunyWF.org. That is a good place to start. Even though we're not in our offices at all, some of us are filtering back in, but most of us are still working at home. But you can still call our office number. Calls get forwarded to our cell phones, so we are absolutely in business. but you can get quick information just by going to the website. You can get links to the benefit vendor sites. You can get the summary benefit plan description of all your welfare fund benefits, applications, claim forms, and then lots and lots of practical, useful benefits information. I manage this site. I update it very often. During our COVID period, I had very useful links for just how to find a test for COVID, how do you find a place to get your vaccinations. As we all know now, you can kind of just get a vaccination anywhere. It ain't hard to get one now. So if you are still looking for your vaccination site, I mean, there are many places to go, but you can go to the Welfare Fund website, and I have a link to the city and state sites that tell you what to go to the drugstore now. Many, many places to get that vaccination. You don't need me to tell you how important that is. And that is that. So let's take some questions. Are you looking at the question, Sharon?
It's Sandra, me. So we have like 5 minutes for questions. Are the welfare fund benefits for all retirees or only those who qualify for the city health retiree health benefits?
To get the prescription drugs, you've got to be enrolled in the New York City Health Benefits Program for either the Medicare supplemental plan, or if you're under 65, for the basic health insurance plan. You are eligible for the dental and vision, even if you're not enrolled in the welfare fund, even if you're not enrolled in the New York City Health Benefits Program. But that Medicare Part D drug plan, that is the big number. That's the big important one, and you must be enrolled in some New York City Health Benefits Program insurance plan in order to be eligible to participate in the welfare fund drug plan.
And then another one about Part D. Can my spouse who currently has Part D Medicare get prescription drugs through the PSC when I retire?
No, you can only have one Part D drug plan. And our plan, whether the other drug plan was a Medicare Part D or not, our drug plan does not coordinate. So the answer to that is a hard no.
Does SilverScript also cover your children under 26 and spouse?
As long as, if you have eligible dependents on your plan, they won't be covered by SilverScript, they'll be covered by CVS.
How do we sign up for SilverScript benefits?
Through your HR office at your campus. When you fill out your retiree health benefits forms, the SilverScript enrollment form for you and for any dependents on your Medicare eligible dependents on your plan, you'll get that with that packet of enrollment materials.
Can you apply for this insurance if you're not currently enrolled? I guess catastrophic and those.
The Welfare Fund Catastrophe Plan has been closed to new enrollments for many years. NYSET has a catastrophe plan that periodically opens up for new enrollment. There's not an enrollment period right now, but NYSET underwrites that plan, and so they do open it up periodically. But as retirees, you will not be eligible. It's something that is only eligible for enrollment as an employee.
Someone wrote, what is the Mercer contact information?
It's phone number. It's on our website. I encourage you to go to the website. There's the phone number. You're calling an automated calling service. So there's information on the site to tell you how to talk to your customer service representatives there.
I don't have a card for dental. How can I get one sent to me?
Can call the either Guardian or Delta and tell them you need a new card. And those phone numbers are on the contacts page on the Welfare Fund website.
Right. Is MetLife taking applications for long-term care?
That I don't know. I have a feeling not, but you could call them. You can call them. The numbers on our website and ask. The current long-term care benefit that is available to you through NICET is they've contracted with a broker called New York Long-Term Care Brokers. You do get a discount on the rates. I'm not sure how substantial that discount is, but there is a break on the rates. And they're brokers. You'll call the broker, you'll have a discussion about what you're looking for, what kind of long-term care you want to have, whether at home or an assisted living facility. And then they hook you up with an insurance company that they think is best suited to meet your needs.
Okay, and this will be the last one because the time is up. You mentioned that NICET death benefits ends upon retirement. For clarity, this implies that we're solely responsible for our own expenses solely once retired, right? Or the 5,000 cap still reserved for our use?
I'm sorry, Sandra, slow that down again. I didn't get it.
You mentioned that the NICET death benefit ends upon retirement.
Number one, I don't know, there is not a NICET death benefit.
Oh, okay.
There's the welfare fund death benefit for employees that die in service. It's $5,000.
Right. Okay, that's what they're asking. Okay, that's it. Because time is up.
All right. Thanks, everybody. You can email me at that communications email address that I flashed on the screen. It's also on our website. Please do go to the website. Just Google us, PSC, CUNY, Welfare Fund. We come straight up at the top of the results. You click on that, you'll find all the phone numbers. You'll find all of our addresses, our emails. I'm on there. Communications is on there. It's easy to reach us. We do answer our phones, so don't hesitate, and thanks.
Thanks, Patrick and Sandra. Our next and final presenter is Bill Friedheim, who is the chapter chair of the retirees chapter. Bill.
Hello, I assume everybody can hear me. And I am in the unenviable position of being the last speaker in a 3-hour webinar, meaning that a lot of people have left, or your eyes are glazed over, as are mine, despite the fact that this has been an incredibly valuable meeting, just packed full of information. But I realize the hour is late and I'll try to be mercifully brief. My name is Bill Friedheim. I'm chair of the PSC Retirees Chapter. We're about 3,000 strong. Let me tell you a little bit about the chapter. And by the way, I just put in the chat a link to our webpage where you can find out more about the chapter. And if you have any questions, a link to an email address in case you want to get in touch with me. The chapter is full of energy. And I'm happy to report that there's a lot of active life after retirement, and there's a very active retirees chapter. To join the retirees chapter, it's $85 a year. If you're joining as an adjunct, it's $40 a year. The retirees chapter, with that $85, you will continue to receive the Clarion by mail. You'll receive the retirees newsletter, and very importantly, since this has been a webinar on benefits, if you have NICET benefits, your NICET benefits will continue, but they'll only continue as long as you're a member of the PSC. The chapter generally meets monthly, once a month, usually the first Monday of the month during the academic year from September through June. We have all sorts of interesting programs and speakers on a range of topics, from political to economic to cultural. And if you go to our website, you can see some of the programs that we've aired in the past year. I say aired because obviously since March of 2020, all of our programs have been on Zoom. And while many of us are very wary of Zoom and virtual meetings, one upside has been that retirees who live outside of New York City now find that they can join PSC retiree meetings. And our retiree meetings during the pandemic generally had anywhere from 90 to 320 people attending, and attending from all over the country. I mean, obviously before the pandemic, we had face-to-face meetings at the PSC Union Hall in downtown Manhattan. That will only resume once the pandemic is hopefully behind us. I mean, in addition, we run all sorts of cultural programs. In fact, on June 2nd, we are promoting a program where a number of us will be taking a virtual tour of an exhibit at the New Museum in Lower Manhattan, a virtual tour of an exhibit called Grief and Grievance, highlighting the work of 39 African-American artists. I've actually gone to the museum in person to see that exhibit, and it's an exciting exhibit. But for many of our retirees who don't want to travel by subway or car, even though they're vaccinated and the pandemic is easing, there'll be a virtual tour, and then we'll have our own Zoom meeting with somebody who helped curate the tour, you know, leading a discussion. We have cultural events like this all the time. The last thing, I said I would be brief. The last thing I want to say is actually, first let me see if I can share my screen. And unfortunately, I'm having trouble doing that. But what I wanted to do was show you the PSC retiree webpage. And on that webpage, you can find out all sorts of things about the chapter, including you'll be able to access issues of our newsletter, an award-winning newsletter called Turning the Page. And on that page, you'll also be able to access what has been a big back and forth on this issue of Medicare Advantage. Retirees have not been silent on this issue. We've had 2 chapter meetings, both of which are recorded and you can see on video, you know, dedicated to this. We've had many articles in our newsletter about this. I'm not going to talk about the substance of that, but this is something that I think is important for you to consider as the city considers the Municipal Labor Coalition and the Office of Labor Relations of the city, you know, consider moving to a Medicare Advantage program. Oh, I see somebody has put up the PSC retiree webpage. But you can go to this page and find out all sorts of information. And also, if you go to this page and click on events, you'll see all the events that we've put on for the past year. So check us out. It's just $85 a year. It's a way of keeping up with your colleagues. It's a way of keeping up with the PSC. It's a way of keeping up with the university. And I hope to see you in the retirees chapter. And when you go to this page and you want to join any of our upcoming meetings, even though you haven't retired yet, you'll see a Zoom link and you're welcome to join us. So hope to be seeing you in the retirees chapter. And you're about to embark, I think, on some really exciting years of your life. So thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Bill, and thank you, everyone. Thanks to Sandra Zaccanetta, to Talene Spengen, to Judith Francis, to Barbara Bowen, to Patrick Smith, and to Bill Friedheim, all of our presenters. Thank you, everyone, for attending. I know that it has been an overwhelming amount of information, so I just want to be sure that you know that everything has been recorded, and we will send you to the link to the recording, which will appear on the PSC website. I also want to point out that you can reach the retiree chapter page from the PSC website. They're listed under chapters at the PSC CUNY website. So thanks again, everyone. I hope you all have a great day. And as Bill said, you move on to a very satisfying retirement.